My name is Ann Marie Sorell. I am the president and CEO of the Mosaic Group, a full-service, award-winning advertising, marketing, public relations agency. I'm also the president and founder of Cannabiziac, which is a global cannabis member-based organization where we provide education training, as well as a business-focused incubator for those who are interested in starting or expanding their existing cannabis business into the $90+ billion global industry. And I also am an elected official where I represent Palm Beach Soil and Water Conservation District, seat 4, and I currently serve as the chair for the Palm Beach Soil and Water Conservation District.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, have you ever met the person where in class, the overachiever, the one who they might open up the class before the professor gets there and shut it down and help the janitor to let them know, nah, you didn't do it right. You got to do it over again and again. Well, the queen of consulting and PR in Palm Beach, you know, and author, and all those titles you heard before. I mean, she has some that she said, okay, I'm not even going to mention that yet, but I have Miss Queen Ann Marie Sorell. And let me tell y'all, it was not easy to get her. I've had billionaires on this show. It was easier to get them on the show. So I'm gonna appreciate this time. Welcome to the show, Queen Ann. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. I've been in Palm Beach like 3 years now, and you know, everybody had only good things to say about you. You know, with all the titles that you have, a lot of people, you know, putting claim of, hey, I worked with her there, or she helped me, or I helped her. So just know that, you know, your name is good on those Palm Beach streets, you know, where I'm at. It's all positive vibes. But
that's good to know.
yeah. Especially as, you know, a politician, and I'm sure those roles will only grow. We'll get into that. But tell the people, because, you know, for folks like me who see you, that beautiful website, beautiful photos, exposing a lot about your life on your YouTube and you know, just personally doing interviews like this. Could you have planned this? Because some may say, hey, of course, she was always brilliant. She was always bright. She was always winning. But I know that this was a journey. And, you know, when you hit 40, you get to look back and say, wow, what I did at 21, at 20, at 19, at 15, it made an impact. So give us the game on how did we get here?
Well, definitely not planned per se. I would say that, you know, I've always set goals. I've always been ambitious, and but I've also been, what I would say, you know, especially as I've gotten older, spirit-led. And, you know, I've always asked God to order my steps and open the doors to the right opportunities at the right time. And so I think that's what's happened. So I've, you know, just as far back as I can remember, I've always been that person who wanted to be involved, who never really sat back and let things happen. I was always a part of something happen or something changing from, you know, high school to, you know, helping my classmates, you know, apply for college, or helping them apply for their ACT or SAT when the guidance counselor told them, you know, no, you college may not be for you. I always was like, no, you can't, you know, tell someone or dim somebody's dreams or light. And so I always went above and beyond to try to help the next person and bring up the next person, or share the knowledge that I knew. Didn't know what I was, you know, getting into or why I was doing it. I've always been, you know, about my people. Ever since my English teacher exposed me to different books on Black history, I always was about, wow, we got to lift up our people. We got to lift up our community. And so that was just ingrained in me from, a young age. And then I took that through college. And people always selected me to lead. I never stepped up and said, hey, I want to be the president, or hey, I want to, I was always selected by my peers, like, you know what, you should be the leader, you should be the president, or you should run for this. And I'd be like, really, you think so? And I would just do it, and I'd do a good job. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur in college. I didn't know how soon that was going to happen. But, it happened very early, right after I finished my graduate degree. I was 24, had a horrible working experience where someone just really didn't want to see me grow. And so I said, well, I'm not going to sit back and let someone else control my destiny to grow. So I stepped out on faith, very green, just had my MBA and thought I knew everything about business at that point, and said, let me start not one, but two companies and see where they go. And, I eventually focused on the Mosaic Group and really have taken the last 18 years to grow that venture and that company to where it is today. So that's the short story of it.
And are you from this Palm Beach area?
You can pretty much say that. So I was born in Jamaica. My family my grandfather had been here working in the sugarcane fields, and he worked his way up and eventually took my grandmother, my aunts, uncles, and then took my mom and I here from Jamaica. And so I got to Pahokee, Florida when I was 3 years old. So grew up in Pahokee in the Glades, small rural community, farm community, not a tremendous amount of opportunities at all. Most of the young people aspire to sports as a way to leave the area and go to college. But for me, I had academia. I wasn't into sports. I was in a band, and I knew I had to, my mom really was focused on making sure that my siblings and I had, great grades. And she was like, you got three choices. You have the military, a vocational career, or college. So you better figure one of them out.
I think we were all told the same thing. You just can't be here, is what I was told, and I was 12, and I was thankful for it. Get me out of the Bay Area. Cool, the world is big. It's all good.
Yeah.
And I can hear the jokes now from the listeners. Oh, that's why she has all those titles. She's Jamaican. Yeah. And that's also why, Miss Kenya, I thank you for reaching out to Ann, because like I say, she's running around doing everything. And, and I say that joke, and it's really not a joke.
Yeah.
We know immigrants run this country. We need them, especially in this country. If our governor happens to listen, be nice to the immigrants. Without them, I'm leaving. If the immigrants ever leave America, I'm the first one as a new resident of Mexico going to say, tire la puerta. I got to go. I'm going instead. But, there's a drive in you. Did the drive come from seeing your grandfather and then seeing your parents and them really just pushing you? Because right now, it's like this new generation, it ain't the same. Talking like the old folks used to talk. It ain't the same. People, you don't see as many young people, trying to do so much. They're trying to do less. Do you see it like that? Or do you see a shift? Or is the Jamaican community still hustling and thriving?
No, I definitely see a shift. I think, so I think it's a couple of things. I think some people have learned how to work smarter and not work harder. And some people, because of maybe their circumstances are a little different than mine or others may have been, I'm not sure, they're not as driven. I don't see the fire in some people's belly like I saw in mine and others. And so for me personally, I felt like I had to kind of grow up a little fast, and I saw our mom hustle, and she worked 3 jobs in addition to her 3 jobs. Literally, she sold Avon, she sold clothes, she cooked food, and she sold those things to the farm workers. And she taught us at an early age. She would take us with her And she taught us at an early age how to do that and how to, essentially make our own little money and how to save a part of it, purchase more things to sell, and then spend a little bit on what we felt that we wanted to spend it on. I think she just didn't want us spending her money, but anyways, but it really taught me at an early age, the appreciation of money taught me some level of responsibility. And it taught me about working for what I wanted. And so I think that was a big part of my drive. And then there were times where she struggled, where she couldn't work. She got injured on her job and she couldn't work for years. And we went through that phase of being on welfare, being on food stamps, her not knowing where the next penny was coming from to take care of us. And so I saw that, and that was another thing. I was like, oh my God, I gotta help. I gotta do something. I gotta, make sure I got it all the way together to be a part of the household and contribute. I was the youngest sibling. And so I think that was the other piece, where seeing my mom go through that phase of struggle, and it was killing her softly, because that wasn't who, she was very prideful. So to have to go apply for any type of public assistance was like, why am I doing this? Why do I have to go through this? So it was breaking her, if that makes sense, because she was a hard worker. And so, so seeing that was a part of my drive. And then as I got older, I'm just going to be real with you. I just was like, I can't be poor, because I knew what poor was. I knew what broke was. And I also had my own stint of, quickly climbing and quickly falling into a struggle status, where literally I had no place to live after my home got foreclosed on. Luckily, I had, friends and family to help me out through that period. So that was a very dark period. So I understand the climb up and the fall down. And so my drive is also especially I can't be poor, I can't be broke. I gotta hustle.
Definitely gotta hustle to make it. Nothing is gonna be, dropped on your lap. Was part of, images like your thing. And when I've only seen you with the bald head. And, there's grown men now trying to, kind of like me, it's pushing back and further, and they don't want to let it go. Here you are, you're rocking it, and it looks like, it fits you. Was part of that too, was that part of okay, that's my marketing thing. You're gonna remember me because I'm coming in with full confidence, or maybe you were working on an album. Give us the game on the image.
No, not at all. It's crazy because I literally got in fights in high school about my hair. I loved my hair. I had long, really thick, nice hair. And in college, I started seeing some thinning. I thought it was everything that I was doing to it. And then by the time I was in my mid-20s, I started having literally little patches of hair falling out. And so when I finally got a diagnosis for alopecia, and the type of alopecia, which was a scarring alopecia. So once it came out and the scalp was inflamed, it won't grow back once the hair falls out. And so I had to make a decision. I had sister locks, which I loved. And, but I was so self-conscious about it. I was like, oh my God, I'm having to pin up my hair and cover these bald spots. Is someone gonna see it? And are people looking at me funny? And so I felt so self-conscious about it. And one day I saw, I saw two women that were bald. One was with her husband at a car show in Miami. And I was like, wow, she's beautiful. And her and her husband had a bald head. Didn't know her story. Then I did a fashion show and I saw a fierce, beautiful woman with a bald head. And when she did her runway piece, everybody gave her standing ovations. And so I talked to her. I said, hey, how long have you been bald? She's like, oh, 10 years. And I'm like, wow. And so, I said, what, I think I can do that. And I called my hairdresser and I was like, hey, we're going to cry together and we're going to cut this hair off and I'm going to be bald. And she was like, what? And so I went in and I did that. And it took me about 6 months to really get comfortable with it. Everybody was not supportive at all. I mean, I had a friend of mine who was like, oh my God, how are you going to get a boyfriend? Men want women with hair. And I was like, well, if I wear a wig, he gonna have to pull it off anyway. So I as well be bald up front, so you know what he's getting into. And so, so I just decided to embrace it and be comfortable in my skin and just have a what you see is what you get type of attitude. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but that's okay. And so I just embraced it, and I'm glad I did, because it really has inspired and helped so many people who are struggling with alopecia, struggling with, diseases like lupus and cancer, who have to go through a transition, and they see me and they're like, oh my God, you've given me so much inspiration. Or my child, I'm going to take a picture and, give it to my child. So, and then it also worked for me from a brand standpoint, like, oh yeah, the ball girl, Ann Marie.
Definitely, and it works for you. And this is an African business podcast, is what I call it. And you go to Africa. I have supermodel friends who have, all the companies have hired them, and bald head, and so it's just again, America. I don't know. Have you been to Africa yet?
No, but I'm going in December.
Okay, awesome. Just curious, what country is going to be your first country?
Ghana.
Okay, you're gonna meet the other 5,000 of us over there. Awesome. We'll talk more about that. So you guys, you're hearing this now. You guys know we'll be there, God willing, in October. But in December, I want you guys to get your bride price ready and know that we're not negotiating in cows anymore. It's straight elephants and giraffes when we have something of this quality and caliber. So we're gonna move on. I've already set you up. Trust me.
See.
Trust me. An African man is listening. Yeah. Now, talk about, though, okay, to have the confidence, take the hair off, have the confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there, whether it's politically and business-wise. How have you tried to stay sane? Because it's like everybody wants to push you to be something, what their vision of you. How do you say, you know what, this is me. This is me at this beach. If I decide to go to this beach, because we have some interesting beaches here in Florida, and you can find a little bit of everything. But give us the game on how you control and protect your peace and just be authentically you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because there are people and if I allow it, there's definitely chatter or, people, you should do this and you should run for that and you should be here and you should do that, but as I said before, I feel like I'm spirit led, so what's placed in my spirit, not what someone else has whispered in my ear. I may be inspired by reading something, watching something, and I come from a place of problem solving. I come from a place of community. And so any business I've started or any charity I've volunteered for, it's come from a place of, how can I make it better? How can I make a difference? How can I improve something? And it's because of that's what was placed in my spirit. And I've had to learn how to say no to others who bring ideas or bring opportunities. I've had to learn how to say, no, this is what I'm focused on. This is what I'm passionate about. I can't be everywhere and everything to everyone. That I'll try to support in other ways if I can. So I've had to turn down board opportunities. I've had to turn down potential business opportunities. I've turned down elected, running for particular elected positions, opportunities. Even just recently, I've had to just be like, no, that is not my focus right now. This is what I have to do for me. And so I think it's really prioritizing anyone who's listening, understanding, first of all, who you are and what your goals, what your passion, what your commitment is to your life and your journey, and what you're committed to, your purpose, understanding your purpose, and then doing things that fall in line with that purpose and commitment. And then secondly, making sure you're doing the things that you can actually do and do well. Because you can get out there and sign up for a lot of things. I've been involved in a lot of things, right? And then there are times where I've just had to say, whoa, okay, I got to take a step back because this thing here takes priority over this. Or I go through different phases of life, like I'm in my 40s. So now family is super, super important to me. How I set up my future for the next 40 years, plus hopefully, is important to me. So I have to say no to certain things and places and opportunities that that could distract me from the things that I have in front of me. And it's okay to say no. I've had to learn that it's okay to say no. It's okay to say that's not for me. And I tend to go to the beat of my own drum. So.
Well, and see, that's, different in Florida. Again, one of those places, because politics is one of those things where, people it's always a game, and get this level, get here, to go here, to help these people. And you hope to keep your soul. You said for the next 40 years, I want you to add another 40 on there so you can get that full 120 that the scripture talk about. Being able to do that, give some people some insight politically on what are things that you do. Because a lot of people who don't follow politics, don't come to any city council meetings, never have worked for any type of government agency. They're like, what do politicians really do? Like, what do you guys do besides argue and talk about the budget and who's going to get this money? Your week to week, what does it look like? I know it's always changing, but give them a small glimpse of that, please.
Yeah, so my C is more specialized. We focus on agriculture and water type matters, particularly with agriculture, and ensuring that our farming community is protecting our soil, that they're protecting our water and our water quality and our water, the amount of water we have. But also I look at issues that face our agriculture community. So my actual position, we have a very simple role. As a district, we oversee a very small budget, probably $500,000 a year. And that budget takes care of, we have irrigation type systems for farmers to make sure that they're using proper irrigation systems so they're not wasting water. We also look at their best management practices for soil to make sure they're not using, fertilizers and things that can be toxic and deadly to us and gets into our water system. And then we also have grants where we take about 800 or so students a year to the Arthur R. Marshall Wildlife Refuge and educate them about the Everglades, or we may take them to Mounts Botanical Gardens and educate them about our different, species of plants that are here, as well as other farming, and agricultural activities we may expose those students to. So that's the gist of what the district does. However, in my role, we have the opportunity and a platform to also advocate for other things. So right now, our farmers are being impacted tremendously by this, immigration law that Governor DeSantis passed. Our farms are literally empty at this point, and they're struggling to figure out how they're going to get manpower for the upcoming season, starting in the fall. Then there's a housing, even if they brought, people in from another country to help with labor, they have to house people. Well, there's a housing shortage and crisis here in Palm Beach County as well as around the state. But then there are other issues that impact farmers. There are insects that could come in off of the ship and now impact the crops here. They come in from another country and now they destroy the crops. There's weather issues, there's hurricanes coming up. So we look at all those different things that impact. And for Palm Beach County, it's a $1.6 or $9 billion industry. It's our second largest economic driver when it comes to our economy. So we can't afford to have our farmers suffer, and it impacts our local food supply. So there's a lot of impacts, and people may not know that, but those are some of the issues that I and my peers focus on each day, each week, when we have these discussions. And then there's also the threat of developers taking over farmland or taking farmland out of production to build development. So there's a lot of issues that impact farming that people may not be aware of. And so our job is to make sure that that awareness happens. And then lastly, I also look at environmental justice issues that may impact particularly Black and Brown communities or lower income communities, whether it's, pollution, putting, things in our neighborhoods that shouldn't be there. It's going to cause health issues later on down the road. So different things like that. So there's quite a bit. And and my role is a elected volunteer position. We're the only elected seat in the state of Florida that we do not get paid a salary at all for this particular seat that we serve, but we are elected by the voters of our county.
And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people think, oh man, politics, oh, she getting cashed out for all that. But you know, you do have, which it nicely goes over with the cannabis, where you know so talk about that, because I know somebody's mother heard, hold on, didn't she say she was spirit-led and she's talking about cannabis? Like, it's not helping a lot of, you know, patients out there get off the bottle, get off the you know, I don't want to say too much, because somebody will, you know, that's a very sensitive subject. I've dealt with that area. And you've seen people, you know, come and die. But cannabis, I just haven't yet seen anybody die off the cannabis. So talk about that. It's kind of a funny joke too, a Jamaican in the cannabis thing, huh? Really? Yeah. But give us the game on that, please.
Yeah, so, you know, so I've been in the cannabis industry about 3 years now. And so my quick cannabis story, I had been researching cannabis since about 2017, once the medical law passed in Florida. And I wanted to understand why cannabis was illegal and what is this plant all about. And so I started doing my research, and I hit a lot of like walls, especially here in Florida, trying to understand how to get in, how to get information, et cetera. And so, as I stated before, I kind of like, okay, I see a problem, let me solve it. And so I said, well, I can't be the only one having this problem. So let me not only start a company that can help me understand and get my foot in the door within the industry, but let me start a company that can help others who may be having the same problem. And number one problem in cannabis is education. First of all, understanding the plant. What is the plant? What is it? You know, why is it helpful? What are what's the legislation around it in your particular area? And then how can this become an economic driver or a way to build generational wealth? So those were like literally the questions I had. And so I started a company that can help answer those questions for other people, other businesses. I believe personally that cannabis can be a game changer when it comes to building wealth, especially in our communities that have suffered the most from it, whether it's, you know, family, you know, persons going to prison, still in prison, and then those families being destroyed from it as a result. And so here it is, we have an opportunity to take a plant that is medicinal, and many people don't look at cannabis. Some people are like, oh, that's just, you know, someone who's a pothead, or, you know, and it's like, well, they're probably self-medicating, if you look at it that way, because they're stressed, they have anxiety, stuff's just going on in life, and they want to relax and calm down. So more than likely, most users, whether they know it or not, are probably self-medicating in some way, form, or fashion. And so we have to change the narrative around and the perception around cannabis that, you know, it is a plant, a God-given plant that has been around for centuries, thousands of years. Started in India, right, or China, or Asia. Started in Asia is where it was first found. And it's used for religious purposes. So for those who says, oh, spirit lady, yeah, a lot of, countries and persons utilize cannabis in their religious practices. So many uses, many treatments. I can't make any claims because I'm not a doctor, but, you know, for me personally, I've used cannabis for pain and for sleep. I found out I had a herniated disc in my neck, and the options they gave me were painkillers or a steroid epidural shot, or constant physical therapy. So I chose some physical therapy, and I started utilizing CBD to help me with pain, as well as help me sleep, because anyone with all this going on in their head doesn't sleep a lot. So helping me sleep and just kind of calm things down. And then more recently with anxiety that I developed over the last year, post 2 bouts of COVID. So those are things that I personally use cannabis to self-medicate myself with. And others are doing the same thing. But now you can get a medical card in Florida. Go about it the right way. Apply, I can explain it if you want me to, but I would encourage folks to get a medical card.
No, I want them to go on I want them to hit your business and they get the full game, and I want them to catch it before you go on Bill Maher, Club Random, and have one of his clove cigarettes with him. Yeah, it's coming, I'll watch. Watch how that happens. Something about, power of the tongue. But that business, it's almost like everything is going back or going to go towards my next question, which is your community give back, your business, everything, volunteer, it's about the community. Is there one you haven't mentioned or one that you like to do in the future? It's my signature question. I probably should have started with it.
A business that I like to do in the future?
A community give back that you're doing that you haven't mentioned, or a community give back that you maybe will do in the future.
Yeah, so what I haven't mentioned is, so in addition to Cannabiziac, we have Cannabiziac Foundation. And Cannabiziac Foundation, we are raising money to provide scholarships for those entrepreneurs who want to start a business in the cannabis sector, but don't know where to start. They may have never had a business, or they just have no clue of where to get started. But they hear like, oh, I can make money. And it's not, the cannabis sector is not about making money or just making money. You have to come in with the advocacy and a problem-solving mindset. But we teach those who think that there's only an opportunity in cultivation, which is growing or selling retail. There are 100+ more opportunities in between all of that. And so we teach people, just like what you're doing here, you could be in media in cannabis and tell those cannabis stories and that cannabis news. You can be in marketing, you can be in accounting, you can be, you can start beauty products, you can have technology. There's a company that creates drones and all they do is fly over farms, cannabis farms, and check on crops and see the how the crop is growing and if it's, and they give reports back to the farmer. So there's so many ways to participate. And again, going back to that great economic equalizer and wealth builder, with our foundation, we want to provide an opportunity for people to learn, and not just learn, but they come through our incubator program and they're actually ready to launch their business when they're done with our program. And so we're raising money for scholarships for people to participate who may not have the funds to participate at that level. So anyone who wants to get involved with our foundation, so we can create business opportunities, which will lead to creating workforce and job opportunities in our communities. That's where my passion is right now. That's where we're doing the most work, and I think we can make that economic impact. It's going to make a difference in our community. If we can create, like they said, if you can teach a man to fish, right, or woman to fish, then that person can now go and feed their entire neighborhood. They can feed not just their household, but their neighborhood. And that's what we can do in the cannabis industry. And so I definitely invite anyone who's interested in that mission to join me and we're doing this globally. We expanded to Jamaica last September. So we're going to be at the 𝐾ANX Jamaica conference. We're actually helping with that conference this coming September. And that's where everyone comes, the world meets cannabis in Jamaica in September. So we're doing this globally. I have my business partner in Canada. So, Cannabiziac coming to Canada as well. So, but our 501c3 is here in the United States. So that's the community give back right now.
Do you find in this part of the country that you're trying to, give back and scholarships and, even help youth. There's an RFP every day for something. And even to create a Twitter and make $40,000 and not have to make one tweet. I've seen them all, right? Do you see that there's enough, reach out? Because we have the PTACs, the scores, the SBAs, many entrepreneurs don't take advantage of, especially PTAC, but are the RFPs here? Has the government, put enough money into helping organizations like yours? Because I see it as keeping people off the street, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So is the money here, or do we need to make more of a stink and say we need more money for, folks here, because we're wasting it on other things, whatever that may be?
Yeah, so from the cannabis perspective, no, it's not here. It's very complicated because of the regulations on a federal level. Now take the cannabis hat off and go back to Mosaic and what we do with marketing. We do about maybe 75% of our business is government contracting. And so there are government contracting opportunities, and I encourage any business owner, despite what this governor is doing, because he actually passed a bill that would prohibit local and state government to using funding for diversity programs, as well as climate change initiatives and things like that. So we have a governor who's trying to get rid of certification programs for minorities and women and all of that, right? However, those programs are still in place now, and even just as a small business. So being registered, that's the first thing, making sure you're able to be in the pool to compete, following up and having your stuff in order. The biggest issue with government contracting, whether on a local or federal level, is a lot of businesses don't have their back office in order. So you got to file your taxes, you got to have the proper insurances, you have to, make sure that, your financial statements are in order and that you're reconciling your finances, that you have a good accountant and you're doing all that every month. So that way you can become certified and be able to compete for government contracts, whether on a local, city, municipal level, county, state, or federal level. So there are opportunities there. I think that sometimes we just don't know. And so, we're always willing to educate and help others. I forgot to talk about our co-working spaces. So I have 2 co-working spaces, one in West Palm Beach, one in Fort Lauderdale. We're launching a series of events starting in July that we'll be bringing, our power lunch to each month. We'll be doing a power lunch, and we'll be bringing a procurement officer from a government agency to come and talk about their contracting opportunities and how to become certified, and how to do business with their organization. But more importantly, where are those opportunities and how to write your proposal so that you can actually have a fighting chance at winning. And there are little tips and tricks, like pull a public record of the previous proposal and all the bidders who submitted. See what they wrote. Find the one, pull the one who won the bid and see what was in their proposal that made them win. So now you can shape your proposal next time or for the next opportunity that's similar to reflect that type of format. So the good thing about government contracting versus private sector is that everything's public record. So you can pull that public record and see what that winner of that contract did that you didn't do and why you didn't win. Now, sometimes, be clear, some of it's sometimes political, but a lot of times it's fair game, right? So there's some that may not be totally fair game, somebody, friend, cousin, whatever. But most times, a lot of them are fair game, and you have to just be able to understand and know how to play that game. So yeah, but I will also say that government contracting is great because it's sustainable. Rates are low. So one of the things we're doing is really diversifying our portfolio to get more private sector, larger corporate clients to kind of balance things out as well. So, it's a balance in business, but it has been something that's helped us grow and be sustainable for these years that I've been in business.
You guys don't have to be on $1 million worth of game to hear $1 million worth of game. Diversified game is all about that, no cap, no fluff. You heard it. It's not, the joke is if you get on the RFP, it's too late. You should have been there, during the RFQ times. Try to get that source of SOT. That's the ticket. But you guys got that game. And you guys do know there is no glory without a story. Check out her website and check out, that book and her other book, Serial Dater. And I could talk to you, all day. I hope the next time if we do an interview, it's either in person, in the studio, in the park, at the rest. It doesn't matter because your story, I can see the books, but I see it like a movie. So I'm just throwing that out there. You scripted some of that down. You've YouTubed enough where, okay, now you're going to put some more pieces together, build a team, and show the movie. I can't wait till you get to the part when you talk about Wyclef. Okay, let me not do a spoiler. But great storytellers always have you wanting more. Let them know where they can find you to book you. Y'all don't go calling nobody to pick their brain for my show. To book, to pay, it's pay me or pay me no attention. But where can they go to, find more information on all that you have?
Absolutely. So you can visit AnnMarieSorell.com, and it's Ann Marie, SORRELL.com. On there, you'll find my books. You'll find more information about my companies, which I believe the website links to each company. But for, just for this purpose, you can also go to Cannabiziac.com or mosaicgroup.co. And if you're looking for office space, mosaiccowork.com are the websites. And of course, follow me on all social media channels. Just look up Ann Marie Sorell and you'll see me on YouTube as well as Facebook, Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but I don't do a lot of TikToking. So I'm there. And then lastly, if you follow MIA Media Group, I do a show. I've been doing a show for the last 3 years, Lunch with Legacy Leaders. And I'm super excited because we will be airing starting, my first airing will be on the CW, Channel 39. If you're in Miami-Dade or Broward County, you'll be able to catch my show and other shows from MIA Media Group starting June 11th. So your girl will be on your TV.
Awesome. And she's had some legends on there, y'all. Mr. Eric Knowles, I saw, the clip. This is real game you can use. All those links will be in the description, so you'll be able to tap in, tune in, and pay. Now that you've heard the game, maybe you viewed it on, one of these platforms. Make sure you share this with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from 𝐾𝐿 a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you. produced by you and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.